UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in the Santa Monica Mountains, I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli, back from a week off of vacation, but we still do shows anyway because we do a show here every day. And if something really intense happens, I have my cameras with us and we will give you an update. In fact, I did one update from the undisclosed location on the Panhandle in Florida. But we're back in studio somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains. We're talking about 3I Atlas, and you can see astrophysicist says attack from potentially hostile alien threat could take place in just days. Is this fear-mongering? Is it hyperbole? We're going to delve into that. But first, a word from our very trusted sponsor. As we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've all learned, it's that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans just like you protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, nobody knows what 2026 will bring. One thing is for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. When you're sitting around the table this holiday season, surrounded by family, remember, the best gift you can give isn't under the tree. It's peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold delivers, peace of mind. 1 ounce at a time. Before the year ends, take one smart step toward a safer future. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Get your free wealth protection kit today. noblegoldinvestments.com. Don't leave the future to chance. Peggy and I have invested some of our money in Noble Gold, and I got to tell you, folks, we're really glad we did. However, as with any investment, there's always a risk. Please weigh the risks and carefully consider investing in Noble Gold. Once again, that's noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. We invested, and I'm really glad we did. We have to talk about this because we've never had anything like it that I'm aware of. So we're going to broach the subject. Before I get into that, I was playing golf with my friend Don Coons and Dave Wilkinson. And actually, Dave wasn't with us that day. So it was just Don and me, and this gentleman, won't mention his name, joined us. So we had a threesome. And he was asking, well, what do you do? I said, well, I make films and write books. And that immediately piqued his interest. And he goes, well, what do you write? What are the films about? I go, well, a lot of things about the Nephilim. And he had no idea what that was. I said, well, we have a 10-part DVD series on UFOs. And am I kidding you? Don's a witness. He basically took a step back, started looking around. And I went, well, it's okay. It's okay. We're not going to go there. It's okay. So before I even get to this article, which is the 22nd of October, so it's, it's pretty recent, right? And I want to thank our friend Bill, who sends me stuff all the time. Bill's a friend of the show and gives me links like this. So let's walk into it if we can. This man on the golf course had been programmed for decades with an ongoing, all types of media, print media, film media, just everything. That if you talk about UFOs, you're a tinfoil hat wearing guy, you're a kook, you're a crank, there's something wrong with you. This is why in our abduction film, how many did on a rabbit trail here? In our abduction film, the introduction to that abduction film, you hear me talk about people are afraid. People who are abducted are afraid. They're alone. They can't talk to anyone. They live in fear. And where do you go with this? And this guy on the golf course was a perfect illustration of that. The moment I even mentioned UFOs, he took a step back and started looking around. And I've seen this before, so I know what to look for. I know that guys like this have been, and I hate to use the word, but they had been conditioned through the media, all forms of media, that if you talk about the subject, you're a kook, you're a tinfoil hat guy. You're not dealing with a full deck. Well, I've been doing this for well over 30 years. And this is the coming Great Deception. I did a whole presentation at the Prophecy Watchers Conference a while back. By the way, thank you, all the folks, the Prophecy Watchers who came up to the table And we really appreciate the fellowship that we had there. Thank you, Bob Ower, to Gary Stearman, Madhu Gonzalez, and, all the ladies of Prophecy Watchers were just incredible. Hats are off to them, too. A big shout out to them. But the halls of Congress are talking about this. And at the Prophecy Watchers Conference, I went through this. I said, in Congress just a couple of weeks ago, before the Prophecy Watchers Conference, so in Congress, they showed a clip, and I did a whole show on it here. You can go see it. A UFO is glowing, and it's coming down. They're tracking this thing, and they fire a Hellfire missile at it. The Hellfire missile just glances off of it and breaks apart. How is it possible? How is that possible? And they have no explanation for it. Our military has no explanation for what we are seeing. The fact is, it's a dog and pony show. They never really go anywhere, and I'll say it again, what President Trump needs to do, if he really wants to get to the bottom of it, okay, is to get 500 of the best of the best of the best. SEALs, special forces, special ops, the best of the best. Break them up. 250 go to Wright Pat, 250 go to Area 51. As far as I know, there's no sitting president that has ever gone to Area 51. So what's there? Well, you don't have a need to know. Exactly. Need to know basis, and you, Mr. President, have no need to know. Now, that's conjecture on my part. Maybe some of the presidents do know. I have no idea. But right, Pat, we know, and in our film, in our 10-box DVD set, I don't have it in front of me, but you can go to lamarzulli.com and see it for yourself, or you can stream it, streaming at lamarzulli.net. 10-box DVD set, our film on Roswell, we sat down, and I'm doing this interview with a gentleman, and he's talking about the records being flown to Wright Pat. I mean, how many times do we have to hear this before we begin to realize that there is a hidden agenda? The phenomenon is real, and now we have this astrophysicist says attack for potentially hostile alien threat could take place in just days. So before we even get into this, I do not engage in hyperbole like some shows do. I just don't do it. I try to get to the truth of the matter, get to the bottom of what we're seeing, and just the facts. Now, sometimes I go out on a limb. When I do that, I'll say this is conjecture on my part. Like, for instance, when we did our first show on 3i Atlas, I said, well, Atlas is a Nephilim, right? Greek god holding the world on his shoulder. So are they signaling something here with the snake? I don't know. This is conjecture. I'll do it again. 3i, third eye. Are they signaling to us? Are they telegraphing us that this is a global event, Atlas, right? Holding the globe on his shoulder. This is a global event that will enlighten humanity. Now, that's complete conjecture on my part, and I get that. But what if it's true? And this thing is heating up, which is why we're covering it in the first place. The comet 3i Atlas, which many still believe to be a form of alien spacecraft, may reveal its origin as it passes behind the sun out of view. This is the 22nd of October. The potentially hostile alien threat that has been taking the internet by storm since its discovery in July may soon reveal its origin as it hides behind the sun. 3i Atlas, an incredibly rare comet from outside our solar system, has baffled scientists since it was first spotted earlier this year, with many people firmly believing the object to be actual proof of alien life. Now, on Nino Rodriguez's show, there was a gentleman and a woman entrenched in New Age paradigm, New Age belief, which is fine. Look, we're not going to disparage people on the show. We just don't do that here. We don't go, we just don't do that. They're entitled to believe what they want to believe, okay? If you believe that the Anunnaki are extraterrestrial visitors, that's your belief. I believe that they're fallen angels. In fact, we're going to have a guest on who's written a book on the Anunnaki. And I think you'll find it very interesting when we bring her on. This theory is currently being put to the test as the comet has recently hit solar conjunction, which is a fancy way of describing when a comet or planet is on the opposite side of a sun. So why does this actually matter? Well, how the object, which has previously been confirmed to be a comet, behaves while approaching the sun could help piece together what 3i Atlas is made of, and crucially, provide hints as to where it might have come from. So, when comets approach the sun, they get hotter and start releasing volatile gases and dust from their surface, which is exactly what 3i Atlas appears to have done, while 6.4 AU, I mean, that's like a long way away from the sun. For context, Earth is 1 AU away from the sun, so there's still a fair distance between them. As of yesterday, the 21st of October, the comet has been hiding directly behind the sun and completely out of view from the Earth, which is when the object could do something unusual. If alien-like conspiracy theories are to be believed, according to Harvard professor Avi Loeb. Now, let me just stop you there, okay? Stop us there. So how is it that Avi Loeb just ascends? How does that work? And he's all over the media, print media, film media, news media. He's everywhere. How does that work? How does someone get anointed like a Dr. Fauci? Now, I'm not comparing Avi Loeb with Dr. Fauci. I'm not trying to do that, okay? What I am saying is this. How is it that all of a sudden Avi Loeb is the spokesperson? How is it that we see, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, and bully for Jeremy, he's a filmmaker. He's did a great job with the Bob Lazar film, and George Knapp has been talking about UFOs for decades, and George Knapp was testified in front of Congress a while back. So, but why are these people elevated? And I'm not saying, well, I want to be elevated. I'm not saying that. The Lord has me in a nice little comfortable place. And if that's we have a following of 256,000 people on YouTube. Our numbers grow. We get emails every single day from people thanking for what we do. So we have a vibrant, ministry, and we sound the alarm, and like my hand is on the plow. But I'm always curious. All of a sudden, Avi Loeb is a household word. How does that happen? A household word, a household name. How does that happen? So let's continue. IFL Science reports that Loeb says that if the object is actually of alien origin, it might choose to do an Oberth maneuver. I have no idea what that is, by using the sun's gravity to alter its course and speed. He wrote in a Q&A that from an engineer's perspective, a mothership that releases mini probes would perform this maneuver to slow down at perihelion and intercept Earth. Now, this is way beyond my pay grade. We need Mondo Gonzalez here or Brad Brady here. Both of those guys have telescopes, and they're familiar with these terms. I am not. So I'm a neophyte. So let's continue. Taking advantage of the sun's gravitational assist, adding that the amount of power required to perform such a thing depends on the mass of the mini probe, and that the mini probe can potentially reach the Earth within a few months after perihelion. If Loeb's theory is incorrect, and it is indeed a comet, then it would continue on its merry way through the solar system. Frankly, that's what I'm banking on. I don't believe that this is an alien crypt, but I could be wrong, which is why we're covering it. The fact that Avi Loeb is throwing this out, before I left on vacation, before I left to the Prophecy Watchers, we did the PW conference, and then we went for 7 days on the Florida Panhandle, which was just fantastic. I talked about the idea of disclosure, and there was Avi Loeb was on News Nation, and with Elizabeth Vargas, and he was talking about this could possibly be a black swan event. In other words, extinction. So Avi Loeb is talking about a black swan event, and this really rattled Elizabeth Vargas. She was freaked. I'm not going to sleep this weekend, Abby. Thanks a lot. And so, what are we looking at here? Well, we know from the biblical prophetic narrative, my Bible's right here, that number one, that's not what comes down. Why? Because we have the prophetic thread that goes from Genesis to all the way to Revelation. That prophetic thread shows us that someone is outside having trouble this morning. It's been almost 2 weeks since I've done a show. I did one show on the Panhandle, but I digress as usual. Is this but I digress? Yes, this is I did. This is a digress coffee mug. So I'm digressing. And let's pick it up where we left off. So the bottom line is this, that something is happening, right? Something is going on, but we don't engage in hyperbole here. What do I think it is? I don't know yet. It's conjecture. This is why at the Prophecy Watchers conference, when I showed that clip with Elizabeth Vargas and Avi Loeb talking about a black swan event, I basically stated, and I'll circle back, prophecy. We've got the biblical prophetic thread from Genesis to Revelation that calls out the beginning from the end with great specificity. And it's the only book on the planet that does that. You could point to Nostradamus, but Nostradamus's quatrains are very fuzzy. You can point to the Hopi prophecies. Maybe some of those are true. But here's one of my favorites is Amos 9, 14 and 15. And I have my Bible turned to this. Now, before I even say it, and I'm way down a rabbit trail, rabbit trolls and rabbit trails. And we'll get back into this article in just a minute. But Amos 9, 14 and 15 states, I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. They will rebuild the waste cities and inhabit them. They will plant vineyards and drink the wine from them. They will also plant gardens and eat the fruit from them. I will plant them in their land, and never again will they be plucked up out of a land I have given them. Let me state this really clearly and emphatically. Israel is God's timepiece. Israel is God's chosen people. End of story. That's what they are. Does that mean they're perfect in every way? No. They crucified the Son of God. They will look on him whom they have pierced. That's prophecy. They will look on him whom they have pierced. Who's they? Well, it's the, his blood be upon us and upon our children. People don't like to hear that. I'm not anti-Semitic. I love Israel. I love the children of Israel. I do. I support them, but I don't give them a free pass, folks. I don't. These are the Jews. They're not the Khazarians. These are the Jews. They are God's prophetic timepiece. They still are God's chosen people. So take replacement theology and toss that away. Take your amillennial view and say goodbye to that, because there they are. What are they doing back in the homeland? I will gather my people Israel and plant them back in their homeland, never again to be plucked up. So either God's a liar, or we can't look at Amos 9, and no one ever talks about that. Isn't that interesting? All right. So we know that Israel is back in the land, and it is God's prophetic time clock. And isn't it interesting, the rise of anti-Semitism? It's just unbelievable. I don't give them a pass. Their government and the people in their government may be just as corrupt, if not more so, than any other government or any other people on the planet. Without Messiah, without being born again and spirit-filled, people die in their sin nature. I still have a sin nature. My hope is this, that when Jesus calls us up, and this is extra, okay? When Jesus calls us home in the rapture, and it might be sooner than any of us think, right? Right? When Jesus calls us home in the rapture, we don't arrive in the clouds with him and with our sin nature intact. Remember when Isaiah is taken to the throne room? Woe is me, I am a man of unclean lips. Why is he saying that? He's in the throne room. Surely he should be exalting in the fact, oh my gosh, I'm in the throne room. No, woe is me, I am a man of unclean lips. Why does he say that? He arrives with his sin nature intact. His sin nature has not been removed. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. That changing in the twinkling of an eye is, in my opinion, before the trumpet sounds and we go up, we are changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. How are we changed? Our DNA is changed. We lose our sin nature. So when we arrive in the clouds with Jesus, guess what? No more sin nature. Because you're not going to be in the clouds with Jesus arriving there with a sin nature. Not going to happen. All right, so let's continue. A theoretical physicist previously said he believed there was a good chance that 3I Atlas is not natural, and suggested people should go on holiday before the 29th of October, because who knows what will happen. So, this is hyperbole in my opinion. I mean, here's the article. People are reading it, right? It's all over the news. So, that little throwaway, I'll read it again, and suggested people should go on a holiday before the 29th of October, because who knows what will happen. Earlier this month, Avi Loeb wrote on his blog, as of now, I assign the 30 to 40% likelihood that 3I Atlas does not have a fully natural origin. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 3 or a 4. So he's hedging his bets. This low probability scenario includes the possibility of a black swan event akin to a Trojan horse, where a technological object masquerades as a natural comet. I'll say that again. And John, go to camera 2 here, because I'm going to enlarge this so people can really see it. Okay, there we go, right there. This is pretty intense. It's right here. Here's my cursor, right? This low probability scenario includes the possibility of a black swan event akin to a Trojan horse, where a technological object masquerades as a natural comet. There's your black swan event. But not everyone follows this line of thinking, with NASA's lead scientist for solar system, Tom Statler, telling The Guardian, it looks like a comet, it does comet things, it's very, very strongly resembles in just about every way the comets that we know. So here you've got a disparity between Loeb and NASA's guy, Tom Statler. So who do we believe? We believe both, because that's what we do. We don't put our chips on Avi Loeb. We don't take our, I'm using a poker analogy for those of you who don't get it, okay? And I'm not a betting man, and I don't play poker, so there. So we take our chips, but I'm using this for analogy. We take our chips and we go, yeah, I'm betting on Avi Loeb. Or wait, we take our chips and go, I'm betting on Tom Statler. No, we don't do that. We just sit back and we look and we watch and we see what transpires. Maybe both of them are wrong. I don't know. So we'll continue with this. While he did confess there are some interesting properties, Statler's confessing this, that are a little bit different from our solar system comets, he doubled down on the evidence overwhelming, pointing to 3I Atlas being a comet. Although recently Loeb took to his blog to write that as of now, 3I Atlas appears most likely to be a natural comet, adding, but the remote possibility of an over-Earth maneuver must be considered seriously as a black swan event with a small probability because of its huge implications for humanity. So the next show I'm going to do will be a woman who claims that this is a message from aliens. So we'll see what she has to say, and then we'll dissect it. Again, people can believe what they want to believe. And I don't know this woman from Adam, and obviously she's in some sort of communication with something. And that's why, as a Christian, as a frank supernaturalist, what are we looking at here? Look, folks, the bottom line is this, and I'll end by saying this, that when in fact, go to camera 2, John, there it is. Woman shares message from aliens as potentially hostile alien threat resurfaces. So we'll have to, in the next show, we'll listen. I'm kind of teasing you here, but the next show we'll talking about this. We'll see what she has to say, and we'll walk through it. As a Christian, as a frank supernaturalist, the coming UFO phenomena is the coming Great Deception, and it will happen. This will change everything. Remember, I stated at the Prophecy Watchers Conference, how do we arrive at a global government, right? At a one world religious system? Well, when mile-wide UFOs appear, that's going to change everything. They will tell us that they created all life on this planet. They started the world's religions. They started the world's civilizations. Now, at this critical juncture, ET, our space brothers, are back to usher mankind into a golden age. Am I making this stuff up? I'm not. The church, for the most part, is so anemic. They won't even go there, to their own detriment. I do a show every single day. I follow the UFO phenomena. By the way, someone asked, what does the word burgeoning mean? That means it's growing. It's expanding. UFOs are real burgeoning. It's not going away. So burgeoning, it's growing, it's expanding. People are talking about it. Your Congress is talking about it. So, 3I Atlas, let's kind of walk through that. This is something I came up with. Other people have taken it without giving credit. So third eye, 3I, third eye, Atlas. Let's walk through it. Third eye. So this is the opening of enlightenment. Atlas is the Nephilim. He's the product of fallen angels and earthly women, human women, creating Atlas. What is he doing? He's carrying the world on his shoulders. Is this a global event which will then awaken human consciousness? It's possible. I don't know. This conjecture on my part. But when you look at 3I Atlas and what it means, it's a third interstellar object, which is coming into our solar system. Okay, I get it. But, names have consequences. People who name these things, you could call it something else, right? But you don't. And the fact that Atlas is in there makes me is it a double entendre? Does it have two meanings? I don't know. So here is here's the clip. Avi Loeb, Harvard professor at Harvard University, real smart guy, lots of funding, huge platform, and he's sitting down with Elizabeth Vargas talking about Third Eye Atlas. Let's tune in and see what they have to say.
On us, for purposes either benign or malevolent. It's not the first time astrophysicist Avi Loeb has suggested the object has alien origins. He came on this show to say so a while back, even saying the object could be on a mission to release, quote, mini probes that could invade Earth. And Avi Loeb joins.
Okay, let's just stop there and dissect what Elizabeth Vargas just said. So it's very interesting. She's talking about It could be extraterrestrial origin. It could be coming to Earth together with probes. That's a lot of speculation, a lot of hyperbole, and we don't know. We don't know what we're looking at, which is why we keep reporting on it, because it's coming in. The whole thing to be a big nothing birder. There's my caveat to you. But we watch because that's what we're told to do. When this starts becoming, if nobody cared about this, if this was a big nothing birder, then why is Avi Loeb making such a big deal of it? Why is he on with Elizabeth Vargas? Why? So let's continue.
Now he's the head of the Galileo Project, director of Harvard University's Institute for Theory and Computation, also the best-selling author of the book Extraterrestrial. Okay, why are we just now figuring out this thing is as big as it is? Why were we wrong in the estimates of its size?
Thanks for having me. Well, we know that the object is losing mass because we see a cloud of gas around it that is a result of its warming up as it gets close to the sun. But it doesn't change its path. There is no push that is visible on the trajectory of the object. And that means that it's very massive, at least 1,000 times more massive than the previous one, which was a comet, Borisov, discovered in 2019. Not only that it's so massive, much more than the previous one, but there is also not enough rocky material in interstellar space to deliver such a giant rock into the inner solar system over the past decade.
Well, explain that, Avi. So what do you mean there's not enough rock? What do you mean? Does this mean this is even further a reason for you to think this isn't a natural object?
Well, yes, because there is limited reservoir of rocky material carried at volume in interstellar space, and even if you package all of it in objects of this size or bigger, then there is just not enough number of objects to deliver them at random once per decade to the inner solar system. So that's another issue. The trajectory of this object is aligned with the planets around the sun, the plane of the planets, and on the one hand, that's extremely rare, 1 in 500 chance, but on the other hand, it offers us an opportunity to observe it. And indeed, by the end of this week, it will come within 29 million kilometers from Mars. And there are several orbiters there that were deposited there by NASA, by the European Space Agency, by the Chinese Space Agency.
So let me stop it right here. So and where we are, so you got the sun, and all these planets are revolving around the sun. They're all on the same plane. That's called the ecliptic. And so this object, whatever it is coming in. It's going to be very close to Mars. We probably will not see it, but all that speculation. Here's the rub. If it comes in and it starts to slow down, or if it stops, then it's like, then we're not in Kansas anymore. Could this whole thing be a big nothing burger? Absolutely. But we watch it. We look at it. Our hand is on the plow. And we report to you that let's not get, woo-woo here. Let's look at it with analytical minds and just look at the data and not jump to any conclusions. Let's continue.
We will get much more information about it. In particular, we can get an image with a 30-kilometer pixel size. So we can then look at the brightest pixel and infer how big is the object.
So if you think the chances are getting slimmer and slimmer that it's a man-made object, meteor, what is it?
Well, there are some other anomalies. During July and August, there was some glow in front of the object towards the sun, 10 times longer than it is wide. We don't see that often in comets. Usually the glow is behind, trailing the object away from the sun.
What does that tell you then?
Well, we don't know. You see, that is working.
So Elizabeth Vargas says, what does that tell you? And with all due respect to Avi Loeb, he goes, well, we don't know. So the comet, let's say, let me just use this as a prop. The comet's going this way, and behind it, right, we should see a comet travel, but that's not what we see. So the comet's traveling this way, and guess what? There's this whole glow thing happening in front of the comet, and they're not sure why it's there or why it's even doing what it's doing. So now we get into something really interesting. Check this out.
and we just need more data. My point is simple. Any intelligence agency knows that they need to make a contingency plan. Our black swan events.
And now we need to make a contingency plan for black swan events. So what's a black swan event? Black swan event is something that's going to change life as we know it on planet Earth. What have I been bagging for the last, decades and decades, talking about the coming Great Deception? I truly believe that there's going to be a nuclear event somewhere on the planet that creates the greatest climate of fear that mankind has ever experienced together. That's a black swan event, okay? And everybody goes, oh my gosh, now what? That's when they show up. They will say that they created all life on this planet, genetically manipulated early man, started the world's religions, started the world's civilizations. Now at this critical juncture, the black swan event, we are back to usher mankind into a golden age. I'm not making this up. I keep talking about it. So now we have this object coming in. There's the headline. Is 3I Atlas a comet or an alien object? We don't know what it is. Cool heads must prevail. And, Elizabeth Vargas says something, and this is what we don't want to engage in. Why? Because as a Christian who believes in the biblical prophetic narrative, we know that this is not the way things come down. We know that eventually there's going to be a 7-year tribulation. We know that before the tribulation, in my opinion, the church is taken up. The dead in Christ rise first, and we who are alive and remain will be caught up together in the clouds to greet the Lord in the air. That's not an invention by Mr. Darby, right? It's in our Bibles. It's 1 Thessalonians 4:16. There it is. Look it up for yourself. So it's written, but the scripture was hidden for 1,000 years. Dark Ages. You couldn't read the Bible. Thank you, Gutenberg, for printing the Bible for the first time. Thank you, Mr. Tyndale, who was burned at the stake for translating the Bible in English. Just let that sink in. So all Darby did was, oh my gosh, I've got access for the scriptures. Right after the Protestant Reformation. Think about it. Just think about it. So, I'm looking at all this stuff and wondering how it fits into end time prophecy. And because my worldview, which I tenaciously hold on to, is a biblical prophetic worldview, then when I'm looking at things like this, I'm always looking at it through the lens of Scripture. So let's continue. Watch what Vargas says here.
A rare, unlikely, but could make a huge difference. We should do the same for interstellar objects. Be aware of the possibility that it could represent alien tech.
Okay, let me go back.
Any intelligence agency knows that they need to make a contingency plan. Our black swan events.
So every intelligence agency knows on the planet that they need to make a contingency plan for a black swan event. Total extinction, right? That's what they need to do. We've already got it in place. I guarantee you they do. This is where the whole idea of underground bunkers takes place, secret areas where only a certain group of people will be put in there until the danger is past or till the apocalypse happens. But that's not what happens. There's a tribulation, 7 years. I get that. Lots of crazy stuff is happening in the tribulation, but I truly believe that the church is not a part of the wrath, and that's why we're not there. Because Jesus says in Revelation 3, right? Because you kept your faith in me, I will save you from the time of tribulation. I'm sort of paraphrasing here, that comes upon the whole earth. It's not an isolated event, the whole earth. He takes us out before it happens. It's the wrath of God. How many people are even looking? A small remnant. So Avi Loeb is telling us, that every intelligence agency has a contingency for a black swan event. Absolutely. Of course they do. Of course they do. Watch Vargas. Watch Elizabeth Vargas. Watch her reaction here.
It's a rare, unlikely, but could make a huge difference. We should do the same for interstellar objects. Be aware of the possibility that it could represent alien tech.
Okay, anytime I hear black swan event and alien tech and interstellar objects, you're giving me its nightmare fuel. Avi Loeb. I hear black swan event and alien tech and interstellar objects, you're giving me its nightmare fuel. Okay, anytime I hear black swan event and alien tech and interstellar objects, you're giving me its nightmare fuel.
And why is it nightmare fuel to Elizabeth Vargas, with all due respect? Because she probably, and I have no idea. I've never met this woman. And she's articulate and she's really smart. And, she's at a great News Nation agency. And my hat is off to her. We're not going to disparage her. But what I will say is this, because she doesn't know the biblical prophetic narrative, or maybe she's a Christian, but doesn't know anything about prophecy. This is not the way it comes down. It's not, look, think about this. Amos 9, 14 and 15, right? I keep this open right here on my desk because it's imperative. God's, let me go down a rabbit hole here if I may. God's prophetic time clock is the nation of Israel. There's no doubt about that. I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. Check. They will build away cities and inhabit them. Check. They will plant vineyards and drink the wine from them. Check. I will plant them in your land, and never again will they be plucked up out of the land I had given them. Check, check, check. And I forgot the other one. They will plant gardens and eat the fruit from them. It's all here. They're in the land. They are God's prophetic time clock. We do not give Israel a blank check to do whatever they want. They are corrupt, perhaps even more corrupt than many nations on earth. According to Scripture, and I'm not being anti-Semitic here, according to Scripture, they are a stiff-necked people. They will look on him whom they have pierced and mourn for him as an only son. That is future. That's future. And that's going to happen when Jesus returns. What we believe in is beyond science fiction. But Israel is my prophetic timepiece. And I look at Israel. They are back in the land. Absolutely, they are back in the land. Amos 9, 14 and 15. They are surrounded by hostile nations. Check. The entire globe, for the most part, has turned against them. Jerusalem will be a cup of trembling. The whole world, it's exactly where we are. It's exactly where we are. So if Israel was not in the promised land, I'd be looking at this going, well, that's interesting. But we're not of the last days. Because Israel is back in the homeland, is God's prophetic timepiece. I'm keeping an eye on 3-Eye Atlas. Keeping an eye. Stuff of nightmares? Not to the Christian who understands the prophetic timeline, who understands the book of Revelation, who understands what was written will come to pass, what was foretold is unfolding. To us, it's a piece of cake. He's got to be close. He's got to be close.
All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm with L.A. Marzulli, which is world-renowned researcher. You know, I started following you way back in the day, L.A. I've been a big fan of yours. I really do appreciate your work.
Thank you.
And I love that you're a Christian, right? And you really, I really give you a lot of credit for helping my faith along with the Shroud Turin, because, you know, I was in a time of my life where I was having a lot of doubts, right? And that, I feel that's been proven without a doubt. That is,
I do too.
Christ,
Yeah.
calling card. And I mean, that's up for another show, whatever, but
Sure.
you know, but you are, to me, my go-to guy, you know, when it comes to faith and the paranormal, the ufology, the whole thing. I go to you and I say, how does this add up, LA? Anyway, Ellie, we had well, first of all, thank you for being here.
Well, it's an honor, and thank you for the kudos. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and read this off real quick, folks. While you're distracted by headlines like these, the insiders are getting ready. Billionaires, big banks, even foreign governments are hoarding gold. You know, the dollar is being devalued. They know the next crash is coming. So why don't you own what they're buying? Noble Gold Investments makes it simple to protect yourself with the same investment-grade gold and silver the elites are stockpiling. Real assets you can hold in your hand or keep saving in your retirement account. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com right now, folks. Get started on that. Actually, he's got something a little more rare that he holds in his hand. You want to show it?
Yeah, this is a piece from the Roswell crash and the debris field. I went out there with Chuck Zukowski and Frank Kimmler. We had metal detectors, and we found actually 2 pieces that day. We're the only film company that's ever recorded it coming out of the ground. Out of the ground. It was buried about 8 inches down. And thank you, Frank. Thank you, Chuck. And my business partner, Gil Zimmerman, and I have the whole thing. It's on film. And let me just show you something. The cover, this is the piece, and it's in the palm of my hand right there.
You know for a fact that's football. I guess it would be. You were out there in the area scanning the whole radius, right? The area looking for.
Yeah, and
but you've done tests on it, experiments on it.
This is a piece of a metal, a nail, a 12-inch metal spike, which the powers that be pounded these in the debris field to throw off the metal detectors. Oh, wow. Why would they do that? So Frank Kimmler has been out there a gazillion times, and he knew where to go. He knew where to take us outside, you know, the perimeter where they spiked the field. So that's what we did. And lo and behold, he found 2 very close to each other. And he even said, if you find one, there's usually another one. He's been out there, I don't know, 30 times, whatever. And we are the only film company, thank you, Gil Zimmerman, Jim Peterson, and myself, to actually show it being dug up out of the ground. We had it tested at a lab in Los Angeles. It's an aluminum alloy, but it's right in between two known aluminum alloys. So more testing needs to be done, and we'll see what happens.
Do you think it's intelligent or like artificial intelligence? Do you think, like, have you tried to put heat on it or microwave it? Or
I don't want to do that unless I'm with somebody who really knows what they're doing. But we want to do that with this piece of metal. Absolutely, we want.
Is there any etching on it or writing on it, or is it?
What was interesting is under a scanning electron, when you look at it, you know something's up. But when you're down 300 or 400 times magnification under a scanning electron microscope, the metal is folded in on itself. It's folded in. How is that even possible? And I'm not making this up, Nito. It's all on film. So our batteries, we have the DSL cameras, and the batteries are fully charged, 99, 100%, and we're out filming in the debris field. Just like that, the batteries get drained. Just like that. We go back, put new batteries in, go back and pick it up. I've seen this before on other sites. That's a very charged site. Something happened there, but it's a skip site. In other words, the craft came in like this. It hit the ground and exploded, and then went another 17 miles before it came to a rest. So when Jesse Marcel goes there, he never sees this. He never sees the UFO. That's other people see that. He never sees it. But he picks up the metal, and he wakes up his wife when he gets back in town, and his son, Jesse Marcel Jr., and the rest of it is history. It's a weather balloon. Nonsense. Absolutely nonsense.
They drove in those nails to purposely set off or throw off the metal detectors. How many nails do you know they put out there?
I have no idea, but I'm going by what Frank Kimber told me. And what's interesting is it makes perfect sense because they didn't get all of it. And they know they didn't get all of it. See, they didn't realize that when this thing exploded, these pieces of metal came out like bullets out of a 22 and embedded themselves. It's been like 70 years. That piece of metal sat in the ground for 70 years. We found it. We took it off. It's in the palm of my hand. You can see it right here. We washed it off. It's all on film. We washed it off, and there it is. It's just unbelievable. It really is. It's just unbelievable.
And that metal thing obviously goes to hyperspace, correct? I mean, that's what that does. It's going through some kind of dimensional. It's not. It's able to travel through space. Whatever that is, dimensional portals or whatever. That's just crazy. Let's get into this because you watched the 3-Eye Atlas video I did with. I asked you to watch it. I wanted to get your response on it. Now, David Sarita has contacted me and said, "Hey, I got kind of, I want your audience to know. I know you have a big Christian audience. I want them to know that I too, I'm a Christian." So he made that very clear. I just want to give that to my audience. He did write me that and say that he is a Christian. But you watch this video. What did you gather from it? I mean, does it hold any water? I mean, it seems to me like this 3-Eye Atlas. We all know it's coming, but I kind of feel like it would be used. First of all, I don't know if I believe that any alien craft will just be using a propulsion system, or maybe I don't know anything. But what's your thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on the video I recorded? And folks, if you're just watching this, go watch the video. Go watch the 3-Eye Atlas video. Decoded it. David Sarita believes that he decoded the comet, the ship, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead, Ali.
Well, but first of all, I don't want to disparage David Sarita. He's not here to defend himself, so we're not going to throw David under the bus. And the other woman, Christine?
It's Carrie.
So we're not going to do that, but I have a different opinion. I have a different take. First of all, Avi Loeb, with all due respect to Mr. Loeb, he has not said and stated that this thing is an extraterrestrial craft. He stated it might be, it could be. And out of a 10, he's got the Loeb scale, kind of self-serving. I won't go there. But, if there's 10 points, and this, whatever it is a 4, and maybe he's upped it from a 3 to a 4 to get some interest. I don't know. I don't know Mr. Loeb's mind. I can't put words in his mouth. And again, I won't disparage him. But we don't know what this thing is. We really don't. Nobody does. And I do find it interesting. that, according to David Sarita, that this thing is going to be arriving at certain points at certain time of the feast days. But Sarita is all over the map, in my opinion, as is your woman guest Carrie, all over the map, and they are, in my opinion, completely entrenched in New Age philosophy. They mention the Anunnaki. They talk about Buddha's birthday, Muhammad's birthday. It's this big, everybody's thrown into this big cosmic melting pot, as it were.
And as if ever, like it's the all religions are right.
Exactly.
They're all so. In other words, the common is just reaffirming that every religion is true in its own way. That's what I got from it.
And this is what I call the coming Great Deception. I mean, I've written about this, for decades and warned about it. That when they show up, this is exactly what they're going to say. And both David Sarita and Carrie were saying essentially the same thing, that, Buddha and Krishna, Muhammad and Jesus, they're all avatars. They're not really gods. Don't go there. The Anunnaki were here before any of these people, but the Anunnaki are just fallen angels. It's pre-flood stuff. It's Genesis 3:15, Genesis 6. And Dr. Mike Heiser, we were never really close. He wrote some hit pieces on me. He passed away a few years ago. So I won't disparage Heiser, but here's the deal. Mike has this wonderful thing on his website, Sitchin is Wrong, www.Sitchin is Wrong. You can go to the actual clay tablets yourself and see what they're talking about with all this stuff. And so Heiser challenged him to a debate. Sitchin wouldn't do it. But go to the site, Sitchin is Wrong, and see, ancient aliens and others, they constantly promulgate the Anunnaki. And yeah, there you go, Sitchin is Wrong. And when you go there, and Mike Heiser shows you how to do it, you can actually go and see for yourself what this is talking about. Because in Heiser's view, it's a complete mistranslation. And I concur. But this is what they say, the New Agers and people who have this sort of a New Age cosmology, which both guests on your show, in my opinion, because they just put everything into some sort of
kind of blended all religions together, kind of served it to the public, and aliens are coming here. I would agree. I mean, even though David Sarita did contact me and say he's a Christian, I kind of took that away as well. Like, he's not here to defend himself, so I'm not going to say anything about it. I get what you're saying. Correct.
I mean, I also took, and I'm sorry about his deceased wife. I find that very, very difficult. That's got to be a very difficult time for him. And again, but the dead does not speak to us. And if it does, anybody who has a word from a dead relative, wife, husband, or otherwise, that's essentially necromancy. And it's not done unless there's some sort of a door that's open. Now, if it's a dream, that's a different deal. And I don't know whether David had a dream with a voice. I don't know. But I'm very suspect of just that in itself. I'm also suspect in the way that all these dates come up and to the Jewish calendar and feast days and Buddha's birthday and Muhammad's birthday and all this stuff and Jesus' resurrection. Again, it's this big melting pot. Amalgamation of all the world's religions, which is exactly what I have warned against for decades. When and if they do show up, and they will show up at some moment, whether it's this or something else, they are going to make themselves known. I just did a show, a couple of, and I don't think it's posted yet, but Peggy, my wife, was driving from Lake Erie back to Pittsburgh area where her family is. They went up to look at real estate up there, maybe buy a summer home. Her sister wanted to buy a summer home. Didn't happen. But on the way back, there's a UFO right in front of the car. I mean, it's in the distance. It's long, cylindrical. It's not a blimp. It's moving very, very slowly. Definitely not a blimp. And she took 2 pictures of it. The UFO phenomenon is real. I want you to look at this. This is our 10-box DVD set. This is the Kumbergaz UFO right there. I think it's the best picture ever taken of a UFO. It shows the 2 entities inside the UFO, and it's a Kumbergaz UFO. Dr. Roger Lear took that picture over a decade ago. Richard Shaw, my late business partner, actually had the original film from Dr. Roger Lear. He went over it frame by frame. So we know, yeah, there you go. So we know that the film is real. It's not doctored. It's not Photoshop. The critics say, oh, it's this, it's that. Excuse me. We broke the story in our Watchers film series, 11 films there. We broke the story in it. Dr. Roger Lear is on the record in that film series, also our 10 DVD box set, saying that, look, I was there. You know, this is the best, some of the best UFO footage ever taken. We know that the phenomenon is real. We know that Congress is talking about it. And supposedly this week, there's going to be some sort of a intel drop. I mean, who knows? It's a dog and pony show. They haven't said anything that I don't know, except David Grush, stating on the record for the first time, I mean, officially on the record, I've known about this for decades, but now it's officially on the record in Congress that we have retrieved non-human biologics from these crashed UFOs. Now that's big, because now that's on the official record, it's there, but these people are being threatened. There's no doubt about it.
I also noticed in the UFO community, I've dabbled in it a little bit. I've gone to some MUFON conventions. I've done a couple of those things way, way back in the day. But I noticed that everyone is right. And everybody else is wrong. You know, that's what I noticed about this community is I'm right, you're wrong. It's this, it's that. And that's what I'm seeing. Oh, they're the Pleiadians. Or it's always something that goes with their belief. It's kind of like also the Bible, how people interpret the Bible. It's, you know, I noticed that within this community, but, you know, but I believe if the government's bringing it to us, then it's obviously a psyop, man, and it's going to be used to control humanity or they're not bringing it out for our own good. They're going to do it to bring in control, global dominance, global prison planet, or a one world government. That's what I think is coming from this, and I think it's all deception. And I don't believe, you know, and if the beings have been here, they've been here for millennia, they've been here forever, and they're not just going to all say, you know what, let's show ourselves they're ready, let's do it. It's not. I don't see it happening like that, but I see the government doing it like that to control us. Am I right?
Well, I think in part they are. In part you are, definitely. But this goes back to the whole Genesis 3:15 narrative, where the seeds are mingling, where they're creating these hybrid entities, which is really the essence of my work that I've been doing for decades. It all goes back to Genesis 3:15. Jesus is in the garden. He says to the dragon, your seed, your offspring will be at war with the offspring of the woman. And that's exactly what happens. It's like 6 chapters later, you know, we get the whole Genesis 6 narrative, and these hybrid beings, the Nephilim, are walking on the earth, which is a result of the flood. Then Jesus says it'll be like the days of Noah when he returns. What differentiates the days of Noah? The Nephilim are on the earth. So we know that the phenomenon is real. It's burgeoning, not going away. We know that UFOs are there. We know that people have retrieved UFOs. 1947 Roswell crash. Too many deathbed confessions from people. The Telegram. I mean, it's all in our 2 films on Roswell. We don't have time to dissect every little bit. But I believe, and I wrote about it again, another shameless plug. Look, there's 32 films and 15 books. I can't apologize for that. So we have an hour together, and I got, if you want to do a deep dive, get this or get the 10-box DVD set. But the runs of disclosure, I posit, now there's only 17 runs in that book. It was published last October. We're coming up on a year. If we go to runsofdisclosure.com, there's actually 21 rungs now on the ladder. So from 17, you know, we're up another 4 rungs, for crying out loud, and it's going up. And with the Annapolito clip that I showed just recently, it's almost another rung. I think we're going to get another rung on the ladder this week.
Well, see, David Sarita said that Annapolina said that we're going to actually, which sounds just outrageous to me, spill this comet or ship when it's going away out of the solar system, because we have cameras on what planet? What is it? Which one is the one it's exiting? And on the 26th, December 26th, it's leaving our solar system, and we're going to take film of it on the outer parts of the solar system. I can't buy it. Oh, yeah. I can't buy it. Man, I'm sorry. I just don't ridiculous even saying this.
Well, I mean, the thing is, look, if this thing comes in and it stops, okay, everybody sit up, you know, and pay attention. I get that. But that's not what we're looking at. And just because this thing allegedly hits all these festivals, birthdays, feast days, markers. Yeah, thank you. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, to me, it's interesting. And look, this is where I'm at with this kind of stuff. You keep it on the back burner. Just like there's rapture fever going through the Christian community, or we're gonna get beamed up on the 23rd. Jesus is coming back. He might be coming back. I don't know that. Okay, I pray to God it is the 23rd because we're at the window of time where you can't fix this anymore. You and I have talked about this with AI and all the stuff that's going on. I get it. All the markers are here for the rapture of the church, but I'm not. Look, I'm not a date setter. I have no idea. My hand is on the plow. I'm working on films. I'm working on books. I'm doing shows like this. We're focused. It's on the back burner. And that's how I am. Remember the first asteroid, whatever it was, that came in, and Avi Loeb was saying, well, it might be an alien probe or something. What was it? Oumuamua, or however you pronounce it. Oumuamua.
I mean, I remember these happening since Heaven's Gate. And I remember.
Well, I see everything, right? Right. Except Heaven's Gate. And look what happened to them, right?
Yeah.
Drink the Kool-Aid, folks.
Kind of like the same thing to me. I don't know.
You put it on the back burner. That's how I view all this stuff. I mean, the rapture of a church, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Teruah, the hidden day, all that. People even know about it. They need to know what the Bible says about the rapture because it is an event, and I think it could be very soon. Could be the September 23rd. Why not? I applaud that. But I don't live my life, having that rule my life. Just like I don't have this, whatever this thing is out there and coming. I keep an eye on it, but that's it.
But couldn't let's just say hypothetically couldn't the government be saying this thing's coming and they're purposely putting these out on the media syndicates, and as it approaches they'll put more and more out, and then they use some kind of technology to show it in the sky and show it in like over certain cities, and then they use the alien card then. I mean, Hillary Clinton is on the record saying, is it time to use the
alien card right now?
So does that mean, come on? I mean, if there's any time to use it, I would think now. They're about to get arrested. I mean, it seems like, I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't it be now the opportune time to do it?
Well, that's a very interesting point. Look, we know that there's craft. We know it because it crashed in Roswell. I just showed you the Kumburgaz UFO. We know that these things are real, burgeoning, not going away. But there's a cat and mouse game. Commander David Fravor said that whatever this thing was not from this Earth. Yes, of a secret program, space program. People say that they've been to Mars and back again, but you can't vet any of this stuff. What we can vet is that this is real. And I can tell you something, and I got props all over my desk, but in the book, the last rung on disclosure is number 18. But now it's number 30, let's say, because it hasn't happened yet. If you have a nuclear event, and I've talked to you about this before, if you have a nuclear event that goes off anywhere on this planet, it creates the greatest climate of fear that mankind has ever experienced collectively. Back to Carrie and David Sereda, who were talking about, this amalgamation, this cosmic soup of all these different avatars and religions and everything dovetailing together. What happens if there's a nuclear event that goes off on this planet? It changes everything. It creates the greatest collective fear that humanity has ever experienced in all of history. That's when they show up. And they will say, to David Sereda's point,
show up after the last Hiroshima Nagasaki bomb.
Absolutely.
That
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Roswell 47. Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
And guess where Roswell was? Roswell was at the 509th Bombing Group. And what was the 509th Bombing Group? Those were the guys that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why they're at Roswell. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all in our film.
So they're trying to time this. The elites, let's say, the people that are going underground in bunkers, whatever, they're trying to time this. They're trying to kick off World War III and then time it with an alien kind of interruption or alien, I wouldn't say invasion, but a kind of like a, hello, we're here. You guys are killing each other. Let us rule your planet. We're your gods. We seeded you. Yeah. Man, they get it all done in one big whop, like the right thing.
That's what the end game is, in my opinion. And I talked about this at
the trouble right now, kicking off World War III.
Well, yeah, because you got a guy in the White House who doesn't want to do that. Isn't that interesting, right?
Because this will be their play.
Well, something is in the wind. Something is about to happen. I just feel it in my spirit. Maybe it's, the spaghetti and meatball dinner I had a couple of nights ago, which is giving me heartburn and keeping me up. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. I don't know. I say that glibly, but I just have this feeling, this apprehension that something is coming and it's not good. Now, I could be, all wet in the head. And seriously, I don't know. But that's just where I'm at.
The same thing. Right? That's the first. My audience feels it the same way. Audience, if you feel it, put a thumbs up. Let me know if you kind of have that sneaky suspicion. That's what Joe Brown says. Sneaky suspicion. I don't know. I feel it. I know my audience feels it. So, do you think before 2030, before 2032, like if you had a time frame, what would you say? What window would you give it?
I think we're going to see something soon. Next month, 2 months, 3 months before the end of the year. I think it's still, the fall. I think it's
alien. Or are you saying?
I don't know. Or I don't know. All this. Look, this is what we do know. Jesus warns us that there'll be wars and rumors of wars, famines and pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places, troublesome times. All that punch list is full tilt boogie, if I could use that expression. I mean, it's all firing on all 8 cylinders. I'm mixing metaphors here, but it's true. It's all wars and rumors of wars, famine, pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places, troublesome times. We're here. Jerusalem is a cup of trembling to the entire world. Go back 150 years ago, nobody could care about Jerusalem. Go back 1,000 years. Well, okay, the Crusades, I get that, 1,000 years ago. But nobody cared. 200 years ago, nobody cared about Jerusalem. Now it's a cup of trembling. Ain't going away. Are we looking at prophecy being fulfilled? Isaiah 17, Ezekiel 38, 39? Possibly. Very possibly, and maybe soon. This is why we watch and we don't put a date on something and we don't get everybody all worked up. That's hyperbole. But we watch with cool heads and a calm spirit and, okay, this thing's coming in. Is it, what is it? We don't know. We don't know. If we're all honest, we don't know.
Like, even when David Sarita was showing me the trajectory in this thing, I'm like, but where can we even trust the site he's getting it from? I mean, I don't trust NASA at all. I think, I'm sorry, I just don't. I don't believe any of this. So photos they show it's all CGI. I mean, everything I look at, I'm like, okay. I take it with a grain of salt. I mean, I'm sorry, I just do.
Well, and that's problematic because we're at the point in history where you don't know what you're looking at anymore because of CGI. You don't know.
And AI.
Exactly. You don't know.
The odds are stacked against us. There's no way to tell what's real and what's not.
Exactly, which is why, in my opinion, he has to come back and take us out of here. How can you be accountable for something where you can't be? You don't know what you're looking at. Somebody sent me what looked like Stephen Greer, and Greer was stating in this meme that something was going to happen in 72 hours. Some kind of disclosure. So that hasn't happened. So was that completely made up? More than likely. I looked at it. It looked like CGI to me, or AI generated. But this is where we are. I mean, anybody can say anything and you don't know.
There's an AI avatar of me going around where people are actually think I'm trying to swindle him out of or trying to get them to go into massage. It's just crazy, man. So let me ask you something else then. This 3-eye Alice. Can you explain, because and I agree with you, what this means? Because I think the title of the name of this comment or ship or whatever holds a lot of water on this. You want to go ahead and go into that for my?
I'd love to. This is conjecture. Conjecture. Underline the word conjecture. I can't prove it, but when I heard 3-eye Atlas, I kind of went, gee, what an odd name. Why did they name it that? So I sat on that for a while and ruminated on it. And so let's walk through it. Atlas is a Nephilim, Greek god. He's a Nephilim. And what is he doing? Atlas is being cursed, and he's holding the earth, which is not it's not a plane, it's not flat, because it's a globe. He's not holding up a pizza. He's holding up a globe. So first of all, whatever this thing is, it's going to be a global event. Conjecture. Please remember, this is conjecture. So 3-eye. What is 3-eye? Third eye. Third eye Atlas. What is the third eye? The gateway, supposedly, to enlightenment. But it's a false enlightenment, because I've already done all that. I was with a guru. My third eye was open. Yeah, you see stuff. Yeah, you can pop in, all that kind of stuff. You can have spirit guides. It never deals with the sin nature. Only Christianity deals with the sin nature. And most people don't want to hear about the sin nature, but it's there, and it's in you, and it's in me. It makes people really uncomfortable. But so what is this? Third Eye Atlas. It's a global event. It's a global enlightenment event. Everybody on the earth is touched with this in some way. Interesting. Folks, put that on the back burner. Don't run with it. L.A. Marzulli thinks it's going to be a global event. Oh my God, this is the end of the road for the hill. Run for the hill. I'm not saying that. But just put it on the back burner. It could be. Then again, most likely it's not. That's just how I'm reading it. But they always telegraph, don't they? It's funny when you look at the 2024 Super Bowl app, hello down there, it is absolutely in your face. They are telegraphing full disclosure. And it's a global event. And it's a global event.
And also, not to mention just the Super Bowl. Was the halftime show?
Yeah, it's the 2024 Super Bowl halftime show. Hello down there. It's on YouTube. The 2024 Super Bowl.
But I mean, also the predictive programming with Ancient Aliens.
Well, Ancient Aliens has been talking about this, the Arrival. I mean, the movie like The Arrival and all this other stuff. They're constantly throwing this up to the public, so the public is numb to it. Oh, yeah, it's like the late Dr. Roger Leary used to make a joke, and he said, if a UFO landed on the 405 freeway, everybody would be ticked off because they're getting home late for dinner. No one cares about and he's right. I mean, it was a little glib, tongue-in-cheek on his part, but in some ways he's absolutely right. It's like we've been so inundated with it that nobody cares. Oh, there it is, yeah. You should roll that clip so people can see it. I'll walk you through as you're doing it. This is a global event. So there's the, UFO in New York City, right over the skyline, mile-wide UFO. And she sees that proof of extraterrestrial, doesn't want that.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. So she's too consumed with
the phone, right? Too consumed with the phone. And she's happy now because she's watching the cat play with the toilet paper and all this stuff, and they're trying to use attention. Right. But directly over her head is a mile-wide UFO. Now it switches to Paris, France. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. That's Texas. Oh, you're going too fast. What happened?
Yeah. But look, everyone's on their phones.
Everyone's on their phones. That's all. No one's looking up. Nobody's doing anything. Celebrity bacon diet. And meanwhile, a dog in a pickup truck is looking up, barking because there's a UFO over the head. In Paris, France, if you scroll back a little bit, in Paris, a little further, should be right before that. Oh boy, that's a different ad. That's really different. Wow, that's interesting. Because it's supposed to it goes to France. So keep scrolling. Maybe they change it. Oh yeah, this is only 30 seconds. Yeah. This isn't the real one. That's why. It's a global event. They go to France, and there's a UFO hovering over the Eiffel Tower. Everybody's on their cell phone, tablets, computers. Nobody's looking. Finally, the alien presses the button, hello down there, and everybody's cell phone, tablet goes, hello down there, and you see the aliens waving like this. In other words, they're telling us that, look, there it is. It's a 1.5-minute commercial at the Super Bowl. Millions and millions of dollars. There he goes. Notice the elongated skull. Hello down there. There's everybody's phone. Everybody. Now watch her face when she looks up. Oh, wonder. Right? And because this is the end. They basically cut a minute out of the whole thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess your point. Right.
Right? There it is. There it is. That's predictive programming, correct? Yeah, that's predictive programming.
Are you ready for this, or are they just saying, or are they saying the obvious where everyone's just on their phones too much? But that's not what it is.
No,
it's saying they're programming people.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. And notice her face.
And just like the Super Bowl where everyone was sick in their beds, and then 2020 happened, and we went to that, but we don't know if this happened.
Yeah, isn't that interesting, right? They telegraphed it.
Yes.
They telegraphed it. They have to. There's some...
Tell us before they do it.
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Because the protocols of the heavenly war are that. And don't ask me and people, that's conspiracy theory, LA, you can't possibly prove it. Yeah, but when it happens over and over and over again, you start to go, because it happened at the Super Bowl, right? Or it was the Olympic, the opening ceremony to the Olympic
ceremony of the Olympic show.
Just watch that. You tell me why are they making this? Why is this? And then you look at the last one, the Last Supper, with all this craziness going on, right?
What are the DQ stuff?
Yeah,
And
wacky stuff, right?
wacky stuff, man.
They tell
Turn into an alien coming down from the sun or whatever it was. Yeah, predictive programming right there again.
and I know we've got our tinfoil hats on. I'm going to put mine on now. I mean, there you go, right? And it's a see, if you start,
One of those, man.
no, you got it when we start talking about this stuff. But the bottom line is this: something is coming, something is happening, and some of these people that are in charge or were in charge, are there ties to the Luciferian elite? People can poo-poo that, but in my opinion, they are. The Third Reich was never talked about, really. They were steeped in the occult. I mean, to the point where there was a castle in Germany, I forget the name of it. It's Russ Dizdar was there and actually prayed down in not the dungeon, but the lower ritualistic chamber. For the first time, he sat there and prayed for like 20 minutes. They used to have the skulls of the Nephilim in these little niches all the way around. Above it is a black sun on the floor directly above it. These guys were steeped in the occult. They knew who it was that they served. And the problem with Operation Paperclip at the end of World War II, all those Nazi scientists came in. Not all of them were steeped in the occult. I get that. But how many of them were? And why did we take this poison literally into our country? And ever since then, things have been a little wonky. I mean, I think we can all admit that, right?
100%.
Just a little wonky. And, now we're in 2025. They get the 2024 Super Bowl thing. Is that predictive programming? Well, in my opinion, it is. And notice when she looks up, she's like this. She's like, her face is one of wonder. She's not afraid. Oh my gosh, they're here. And what was David Sarita and Carrie saying, that this whole amalgamation of all the different religions, it's when they show up, that's what the other side of the aisle believes. And that's what they've been promulgating for decades. And of course, that's what they're going to believe. As a Christian, we don't. There's only one God.
We believe it's going to be deception.
It's total deception. Jesus says, let no man deceive you. Even the elect would be deceived. That Satan, the dragon, comes with all signs and lying wonders. Folks, whatever is coming is beyond anything you can even imagine. And, they can have Project Bluebeam till the cows come home. It's going to pale in comparison. Look, if you get mile-wide craft, and this is why the 2024 Super Bowl is so important, you showed a little clip of it, but the bottom line is, you get mile-wide craft over the cities of the world, everything's off. You remember how COVID shut everything down? That's exactly what would happen. Everything grinds to a stop. No one goes to work. The leaders of the world come together. They start going, you can't, and this will happen right after a nuclear event. That's when I think that's the trigger. A nuke goes off, and that's when they show up en masse over the cities of the world. Hey, wait a minute, guys.
So we created you. But see, I still think it's us. I still think it's going to be us. It's going to be our governments that come together and go, okay, let's set off the nuke and then send in the spaceships. You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Yeah, but it can't be global. They could do it over one or two cities, but not global.
But if all the TV stations and internet and all trios are recording it, there it is. So what do you think about this thing having so this is what I'm confused about. This 3-Eye Atlas has a light source. I thought all comets have a light source.
All comets have a tail. So let's say here's the comet. They have a tail like this. Whatever this thing is, doesn't have a tail. So let's say now it's here, coming this way, right? It's got a light source in front of it, going like this. One thing I found interesting from David Sarita, where he talked about this person with a very high-powered telescope that took a shot of it, and this thing looked like, some sort of a craft. It did not look like a comet at all. Remember that? I thought that was really interesting. Really interesting.
I'm going to ask you something probably so amateur, but I've never gotten a real response or someone educated. Like for me, they've always sidestepped the question. I want to know from you, isn't space a vacuum?
Space is a vacuum. But here's something to think about. What if we live in some sort of a holographic universe, right? What if that is alone?
But hold on, that adds up to me. And I always feel like, too, the sun could be a portal, all right? I think all this stuff is, because doesn't fire need oxygen to burn? So how is the sun, I'll just say, how's anything burning in a vacuum?
Well, that's beyond, I get it. That's beyond my pay grade. But, the sun,
But that's a valid question, correct?
and how did the sun even, I mean, when you look at just our little goofy solar system, I mean, does it make sense to me? That makes no sense to anyone.
One thing I ask everyone, I go, well, how does anything burning in the space when it's supposedly a vacuum? It needs oxygen to burn. So, excuse me, I don't know. I may sound dumb right now to a lot of people, but is that an intelligent question? It is a sense question.
No, it is. And this is why, I mean, there's something I say all the time. No one knows what this is or where we are in it. Nobody knows.
I agree.
Nobody knows.
That's why I think NASA, because it contradicts itself all the time. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. I do believe, can we just all say we don't know?
Well, that's what we need to do. But, circling back to whatever's coming in, there seems to be this globe of something in front of it. So there's no tail like a comet. There's something in front of this thing. It's like a heat deal, something. And they were talking about it's CO2 because there's 10 million people on board. This is all conjecture. How do you know there's 10 million people on board that?
Yeah, but how are they measuring that if space is a vacuum?
Well, that's the other thing.
So that's just, I don't know.
Let me just do something real quick here. Is space a vacuum? Question mark. The results. Yes, space is generally considered a vacuum because its pressure and density of matter are extremely low, making it nearly empty compared to Earth's atmosphere, though it's not a perfect vacuum. While we commonly refer to it as a vacuum, space contains scattered particles, radiation, and fundamental forces with density of these components varying depending on the region, such as interstellar, intergalactic space. So that's kind of interesting. So it's both yes and no. Strictly speaking, space is not a vacuum because there are a few molecules floating around. However, it can also be a vacuum in industrial terms since it is defined as a pressure of one. So it's the bottom line is,
But they don't know either.
they don't know either. Nobody.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I don't know. They didn't really answer.
Nino, something is coming, and I just want to reiterate to our watchers, to your folks and the folks that are watching on our YouTube channel, just so you know where I'm at. Let's start with the rapture. In 1988, there was a gentleman who put out a book, 88 Reasons Why the Rapture Will Happen in 88. It didn't happen in 1988, and it may not happen in 2025. Then again, it could, but I keep my hand on the plow. I do what I do. I get up in the morning. I work hard. I play hard, do the whole deal. I live my life to the fullest, not running off to a mountain. I keep all this, whatever's coming in on the solar system, all of this on the back burner. I keep an eye on it. I keep an eye on signs of the rapture because we're told to look up. I get that. Watch and be ready. We're admonished. I'm watching. I'm ready. I hope it is on the 23rd of September. But if it's not, I'm not disappointed because I'm not holding this date as it's got to happen here. So there was a gentleman who wrote me some, he had charts and mathematics and all this stuff and all sorts of scripture. And he was saying that the rapture is going to happen tomorrow on September 8th. That's his date setting. And I just, well, thank you for that. I'm not buying into it. I'm watching. I'm ready. I'm looking at the signs. All the signs, in my opinion, are here. We could be in the window where he could take us home. I understand that. I mean, but if you're a non-millennialist, if you don't believe in prophecy, then you aren't even looking. There's only a remnant of people that are looking. So my final words would be, put it on the back burner, watch, be ready. Don't let it run your life. End of story.
LA, do you ever go to Roswell again? Look me up, man. I want to go.
No, we should go. That'd be a hoot.
I mean, let's do it. I would put it on Instagram, everything, man. It would be so fun.
It was, let me tell you a quick story. The month before we went, the Lord had me in Psalm 121. And one of the lines is, the sun will not beat down upon, the Lord is a shade over your right hand. The Lord is a shade over your right hand. The sun will not beat down upon you by day or the moon by night. So we're there in the Roswell field. This is all on film. We're flying a drone and we show it, right? It's supposed to be like 95 degrees. This is in the middle of nowhere. And the debris field is in, if you don't know where it is, you'll never find it. It's in the middle of nowhere, literally. And there's nothing around for miles. So it's supposed to be like 95 degrees. We got tons of water, got the sunscreen on directly over us. The entire time, the 3 hours, 4 hours that we are in the Roswell debris field, there is a cloud over us, right? Blocking the sunlight. So it's like Frank Kimbler goes, I've been out here like 20 times. This is the best weather we've ever had. And I just start laughing. I'm going like, oh my God. It's the Lord just blessing our steps, giving us favor. Oh, that's just coincidence. I'm like, oh, really? Why don't you go to Roswell and tell me if you have a cloud? And around us, it was raining. Parts. It was unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. It's insane. Really cool. Avi Loeb is here on News Nation, and we're just going to roll it, and I'll stop it, and we'll go through it. Here we go.
A mystery in space we've been following since it first appeared in our skies 3 months ago. We are talking about that interstellar object known as 3I Atlas. Most scientists think it's a comet, but one high-profile Harvard astronomer has been making the case on this show and other places that its anomalous behavior and characteristics suggest that it might be alien technology of one kind or another, perhaps a probe. 3I Atlas recently passed closest to the sun and will soon pass close to the Earth. Yet it may not be in one piece when it does. Professor Loeb says that based on his calculations, it looks like 3I Atlas has been losing an extreme amount of mass, which could mean it's exploded into a dozen smaller pieces. So, is it just another fascinating celestial phenomenon, or did the mothership just separate into a squadron of reconnaissance aircraft? Harvard professor Avi Loeb joins us now.
Now, what you're seeing is Elizabeth Vargas, okay? That's what you're seeing. And what you don't see is the teleprompter in front of her, because she's reading off a teleprompter. The question is, did she craft this story? More than likely not. I don't know that. And I'm not trying to disparage Elizabeth Vargas. But all this, the talking heads, the interviews is real. No doubt about that. If this is not AI generated, I double checked. But she's reading off a teleprompter. So once again, we're talking about 3I Atlas. Is this some sort of a ship which is breaking up in the smaller ships? Are we looking at an invasion? Let's see what Avi Loeb has to say about it.
It is only slightly in jest, given everything you've been saying. Did we see it explode, or did we just happen to go back and measure it and say, oh my gosh, it's now much smaller and in a few different pieces?
Well, what we see are 7 jets coming out of these objects, more than 7 actually, after it passed close to the sun on October 29th. And we can see that some of these jets are pointed towards the sun, and they penetrate over 1 million kilometers through the solar wind. We know the properties, the density and speed of the solar wind, so we can figure out that for a natural comet, with the characteristic outflow speed of, these jets that come off pockets of ice on a natural comet, given that speed, we can tell that there is a lot of mass carried by these jets so that they can penetrate through the solar wind, about 5 billion tons. And in order to get that much mass out of ice, we need a large surface area of an object. And it turns out that it's a surface area of an object that is at least 20 kilometers in diameter, much bigger than the original estimate for the size of the object. So that would mean for a natural comet that it was broken up into many pieces such that the surface area, the total amount of surface of these many pieces adds up to the amount of mass that we need to release by vaporizing
Okay.
volatiles. Now, in the case of a technological object, maybe the jets are coming out of thrusters, in which case technological thrusters can reach much higher speeds for the gas that comes out of them, in which case we don't need as much mass. The fuel can be a small fraction of the mass of the spacecraft. So the coming weeks will be really decisive. Either we see a fragmented object where the pieces will get separated from each other by the tide from the sun,
So he's talking about thrusters. So it's like, once again, he's couching this whole thing as an alien ship, because a comet does not have thrusters, but an alien ship does. So what are we really looking at? I did a show last week about this, where, the Vatican's talking about baptizing aliens. Congress is talking about the whole UFO, UAP phenomena. Now we've got Avi Loeb on all media outlets. And how does that work? I mean, seriously, think about it. So, are we being prepped for something? In my opinion, we are being prepped for something. And then you've got, which I thought was really interesting, and I've talked about this before. If you've not seen the movie, you need to see it. House of Dynamite, because it's a nuclear event. Now, it never shows the actual impact of the supersonic missile, but it's there. And it's a well-crafted movie, big budget movie. And I have sources that tell me the interiors of the rooms, like where they're tracking the missile, it's literally what it looks like. Now, I can't prove that, but that's what I've been told by people that are in that world. So it's a well-crafted film. The question is, why now? So, inquiring minds want to know, and that's what we do here. We look at things, look at events, and try to walk through them without any hyperbole, definitely, and use critical thinking. So let's walk through it. We've got this movie talking about a nuclear event, and that, by the way, the supersonic missile is headed down into Chicago. So we're talking about 10 million people's lives are lost. We never know in the film who launched the missile. It's not the North Koreans, it's not the Pakistanis, it's not, China, it's not Russia. We don't know. We're never told. So that in itself is a mystery. I have stated in rungs of disclosure, and you guys need to do your homework, but I've stated in rungs of disclosure, I suppose I should hold it up. Yes, exactly. Here it is. So I've stated that the end game is triggered by some sort of a nuclear event somewhere on the planet. And this is why I find the film on Netflix, you can watch it for free on Netflix, House of Dynamite. So interesting, because it's portraying a nuclear event. Okay, so now we have that. So then we've got 3i Atlas, thrusters. Now, why would he make a statement like that? He has no idea whether these are thrusters. And to even, run up the flagpole, as it were, I mean, that just sends, in my opinion, it steers the conversation in one way. We don't know. We don't know what it is. This thing may just fly by and that'll be it. 6 weeks from now, no one will be talking about it. However, I wonder, why is Avi Loeb spending so much time, promulgating this alien theory, or the so-called Trojan horse, or a black swan event? His terms, not mine. So then we've got the Vatican. I did a show on this last week talking about baptizing aliens, and I showed a clip from our Watcher series, which is incredible. We sit down with Chris Putman talking about Exo-Vaticonic. He's one of the authors of that. Tom Horn is the other. It's really sobering to me. I'm just going to go on a little rabbit trail here, but Tom and Chris are gone. They've gone to the Lord. And that weighs on me, folks. You got to understand something. It weighs on me. And by the way, we are looking, see, here's the deal. We've got 10 films here. My business partner, Gil Zimmerman, and I created 10 films on the UFO phenomena. We are looking for an entertainment lawyer that can take this, run with it, and get it in the Prime Video, Netflix, whatever. Because we're not, it's just, we're selling them, but it's in a small circle. This stuff needs to go out. If you know of an entertainment lawyer that's a Christian that wants to help us out, la@lamarzulli.net, la@lamarzulli.net. And I'm going to be talking about this for the next couple of shows, because we really need to push this out. Now's the time. And we need an entertainment lawyer, someone who could do that. to help us. Okay, so let's continue, and we will see what Mr. Loeb has to say.
Would see an object that maintains its integrity and has very high-speed jets coming out of it, in which case we will have to contemplate a technological origin.
When are you going to know this, Avi? I mean, you're obviously watching how each of these 7 pieces now travels. If it's in a coordinated way, or
Yeah, we will get data from hundreds of observatories around the Earth, plus the Hubble and Webb telescopes. In the coming weeks, by the middle of December, it will get closest to Earth on December 19th. And by then, I hope we will know the nature of the object, because if it's natural and it disintegrated, we would know what it was made of. We would see the pieces. However, if it maintains its integrity and we see high-speed jets coming out of it, we can measure the speed, we can measure the mass flux. We will know that it's something unusual. So I would hope that by the holidays, we would definitely know what the nature of this object is, and that will be a nice gift for all of us.
yeah, Merry Christmas. We're being invaded by aliens. At least it sounds like Avi will know for sure one way or the other.
Okay, let me just stop there, and I'm gonna roll it back here a little bit. But look at the headline right here: "Mystery in Space: Is mystery object comet or alien?" So this is how they're couching it. And Elizabeth Vargas is doing her job. She's reading off a teleprompter. Then she's winging it. And there's obviously a simpatico. I mean, just look at their faces. She likes him. Avi likes her. They enjoy the conversation. And that's great. It's wonderful. It's great. It's the A team. It is. And only certain people get on the A team, by the way. Those of us who are not on the A list, we hit a glass ceiling, and you never get past that. Never, never, never. That's just how the game is played. It's the same people. I could go down a rabbit hole, but it's the same people endlessly repeated in all media. Just think about that. And I probably need to do a show on it, because it's the same, essentially it's the same 100 people over and over and over again. How many Republican congressmen do you think there are in the House of Representatives? Can you name 3? Why is that? Because you only get to see certain faces at certain times. Why is that? Just saying. There's a little food for thought there. So, Vargas is happy. Avi Loeb is happy. Is it a comet or is it an alien craft? We don't know. But this is clickbait, and it gets people watching. And I get that. So here we go. Let's continue.
At least it sounds like Avi will know for sure one way or the other, which would be nice to have a definitive answer. Okay. Avi, on December 19th, you're booked on this show to
I reveal
all.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's a blind date. Whatever it is, I will let you know if it's The Rock or something more exciting. Either way, we'll learn something new.
Something more exciting may be the most dramatic understatement of the night. Avi Loeb, thank you so much. As always, it's fun and informative to talk to you.
So that's it. It's basically a nothing burger. It's an update, but Avi Loeb is still running with the whole alien thing, and I have to ask why. I mean, why is he engaging in this? Why? I mean, look, this guy doesn't work in a vacuum. He's a Harvard professor. That's number one. Number two, he's on all sorts of shows constantly. So, he's a real smart guy, and I'd love to get him on this show. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but you never know. But, why is he engaging in this? Why is he couching it this way? Why would he go out and call it a black swan event? Why would he warn us that this whole thing could be a Trojan horse event? And I just, I have a problem with all of this, because in my opinion, it's engaging in fear porn. It's engaging in hyperbole. And we don't know what this thing is. We're watching it. We need to watch it. It's everywhere. And, as Christians, we need to wonder what we're looking at. So I had a discussion with Chief Joseph Riverwind, and he emailed me. And he's wondering about 3i Atlas, and he's wondering, I'll read it right here. It's blue, like the blue star Kachina Hopi prophecy that appears before the tremblings of the fourth world, i.e. the tribulation. So the Hopi know about this. Are we looking at the blue star Kachina? We don't know. I find it interesting. That's why we watch. I find Chief Joseph's, text to me very interesting. His last line is this: the timing is uncanny, considering what we are talking about. And so we'll see. Right now the thing is blue, but it has changed color several times. Does this relate to the Hopi prophecy? We don't know. So, it's a complex mix. That's why we're following it. Folks, thanks so much for watching. Consider becoming a member, and you get free content. And I'm going to tell you something. Members only are going to get 50% off everything in the store right after Black Friday. Actually, on Black Friday, all members will have, to get anything that they want for Christmas or whatever, 50% off of everything in the store. That's a great deal. That's basically wholesale. And that's why it pays to become a member. You get content, which people don't get. You get the monthly news magazine and 10% off on everything in the store. But after Black Friday, this coming up Thanksgiving, 50% off everything in the store. So it pays to become a member. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting us. We appreciate. And by the way, before I go, remember that we do a show every day. So don't wait for YouTube to throw you hey, LA's got a new show. We're here every day, 7 days a week, 365. UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. This is the coming Great Deception. We'll see. We'll see what's going on. That's why we watch. This is what's going on. Avi Loeb comes on, I don't know, 6-8 weeks ago, whenever it is, but in the beginning of the 3-Eye Atlas, and everybody's talking about it, and he's on all the talk shows. I mean, he's everywhere. How does that happen? And frankly, who cares, right? And they're making a big deal, 3-Eye Atlas, and just for those of you who are tuning in and don't know, this is conjecture. So Atlas is a Nephilim, a hybrid entity, a Greek god, holding the globe, the world on his shoulders. Think about that. 3-Eye, well, it's the third interstellar object. That's what we're told. I look at it, and again, this is conjecture. Use your own discernment. And this is why I'm underlying the word conjecture. It's Third Eye Atlas. So this is a global happening, a global event, which will enlighten humanity. Total conjecture on my part. So that's way on the back burner. However, Avi Loeb is on News Nation. You go back and you look at my commentary on that. He's with Elizabeth Vargas. And at some point, towards the end of the interview, Avi looks right at the camera. Well, we could have a black swan event. And Elizabeth goes, oh my gosh, I will sleep over the weekend. A black swan event is a catastrophic event that no one foresaw. And for instance, I give you a perfect example of that. During World War II, everyone, well, not everyone, but we were certainly working on the bomb. The Russians, the Nazis were also working on the bomb. We got it first. The Japanese were not. So they were not prepared for Hiroshima or Nagasaki. That is a black swan event. Could they have prepared for it? Yeah, but no one foresaw it. So a black swan event, and this is not exactly the definition, but it's close. A black swan event is an event that no one could see, no one foresaw, and could have been prevented had they done something about it. So you said, well, how could the Japanese stop the A-bomb? Well, that's a really good question. But, their Air Force was decimated just like the Germans was, and this is why we could fly right over and drop the bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I don't, that's just, it ended World War II. I get that. It probably saved millions of lives on both sides. But I digress as usual. Anyway, so that's a black swan event. Then Avi Loeb states on the record, well, not only a black swan event, but it could be a Trojan horse. In other words, this object coming in, and tomorrow, by the way, is the 19th. I'm reporting this on the 18th. I have no idea when it will air. Perhaps John Adam should air this tomorrow. And in fact, John, air this tomorrow. So unless he's got other stuff in the queue, but he can always move stuff around. Anyway, so what is a Trojan horse? Most of us know the story where the Trojan horse, they had this huge wooden horse, and they set it in front of the city gates, but it was filled with meth. So they let the horse into the town, and everybody went to bed. And in the middle of the night, the trap door opened, the guys came out, opened up the gates, and the rest is history. Okay? Trojan horse. And that has been, used, that saying has been used forever. So what Avi is stating that, well, if it's an interstellar craft, perhaps, underline perhaps, it will release, 100 UFOs or 200 UFOs. Now what do we do? And this thing allegedly is the size of Manhattan, so we'll see what happens. So there's all sorts of stuff about it. I'm not sure what we're looking at. I mean, I'm really not. So I'm going to read some of the comments here, and I'm going to comment on the comments in this particular YouTube video. Imagining a civilization reaching out to us is both humbling and inspiring. I hope we're ready to listen. So this person, and we're not going to give any names here, and bully for this person, he or she is entitled to their opinion, but I'm entitled to look at this and sound the alarm. I'll read it again. Imagining a civilization reaching out to us is both humbling and inspiring. I hope we're ready to listen. So let me ask you something, folks. And I got this from a friend of mine years ago. He passed away. And he stated on the record, LA, if someone knocks on your door at 2 o'clock in the morning, would you let them in? And I said, well, of course not. I don't what they're saying. Hey, my car broke down. Can I come in and use the phone? No. Go away. I will call a tow truck for you. There's no way you're going to let a stranger into your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, no matter what he says. If he's bloodied and bleeded, you still don't do it because you have no idea. The whole thing could be a setup. You don't know what you're looking at. I'll call the police and the ambulance. Stay right there. But you don't go out. No way. Of course, if you're armed, that is a whole different story, but I digress. So this person is already embracing the so-called extraterrestrial presence. Humbling and inspiring. I hope we're ready to listen. Now, if you believe in the extraterrestrial hypothesis, and it's being promulgated everywhere, from Ancient Aliens to Fox News with David Farr's Age of Disclosure, great film, need to watch it, it's a wake up. You should go to your pastor and say, here's $20, pastor, watch Age of Disclosure. You need to come up to speed. He probably won't, to his own detriment. And what does this have to do with the Bible? Men faint from fearful is coming upon the earth. Jesus' own words. What is coming upon the earth? What do you think that is? What do you think that is? So the bottom line is, you wouldn't let anybody into your house at 2 o'clock in the morning. Why is this person so ready and willing to embrace whatever these things are? You have no idea what they are. None. And this is the same thing when you cross that line in with New Agers, and they're inviting, and I'm not going to mention any names here, but there's a well-known man who's promulgating the idea of going into meditation and then inviting these things in. Time out, don't do it. Again, why would, if someone knocks on your door, you'd let them in? You have no idea who they are at 2 o'clock in the morning? Heck no. So when you go into meditation and you're opening yourselves up to these entities, they will come in. There's no doubt about that. They will come in. But you don't know whether they're benevolent or malevolent. In my humble opinion, all this is deception. All of this is deception. So let's go on to the next one. I'm 64 and I'm embarrassed by our behavior towards this planet. We are also immature enough to believe it's ours instead of the guests we actually are. So once again, there's not a Christian viewpoint here. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made by him, but without him was not anything made that was made. He spoke this world into existence. In other words, so far these two are not even referencing the Genesis account. And the Genesis account is a recreation. Something happened, the rebellion of the fallen angels, in my opinion, and who knows how the earth is just sitting there without form and void. Okay, here's another one. They love us. We are family. We have never been alone. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they aren't right here. Open your minds and you will see them too. Much love and light to you all. Folks, they're not our space brothers. And, I'm sort of one of the lone voices out here. It's like flailing my arms for 30 years or more, trying to warn of the coming Great Deception. That is a phrase, I'm patting myself on the back, but that is a phrase that was in the very first Nephilim book. It's a trilogy, the Nephilim trilogy. And the very first book in that, The Truth Is Here, that phrase was given by a character in the book. And that was published in 1999. I wrote it in 98, and I researched from 94 to 98, The Coming Great Deception. Okay. If they're really smart, they'll hightail it out of the system as fast as they can after they see how humans behave towards one another. Country against country, bro against bro. I wish I could go with them and get away from all this world's inhumanity and madness. And you know what? It's not going to go on forever. Because we're in the last of the last days, everything is getting worser. Worser really should be a word in the dictionary. I think we should start a petition. Let's use worser in the dictionary. It's a great word. What could be worser? But we are, I'm being glib here, but think of this. Everything is waxing more severe. It's off the charts as far as I can tell. We are here. It's getting worse and worse day by day. There was a movement about 15 years ago, Kingdom Now. And I was at a conference with this gentleman, and I won't tell you who it was, but he had the complete opposite theology than I did. He's going, we're going to usher in the kingdom. We're going to take the 7 mountains back. And I'm going, we're in the last of the last days, and it's only going to get worse. Guess who's right? As you see the 7 mountains taken? Where is the church? The church, for the most part, is asleep. Most pastors are asleep. We don't want to scare anybody, LA. Your people, your 20-somethings, already know all this stuff. They're immersed in it. You need to address it now before it's too late. So, and he's right. He wants to escape. And I totally get that. We all do. Creation grows, Paul tells us. When my theology professor 15 years ago started showing his stuff, this stuff, getting me ready for all these revelations, what penetrated my thick skull the most was that he knew everything about me. I was gradually taught, he was not alone, has gone on to show me how true their awesome knowledge and tenderness is. I hope people don't mess this up completely, because it is truly our hope, our love, our future. So this person has embraced the so-called, you see where this is going? So-called extraterrestrial hypothesis. I'd love to be able to sit down and go, were you raised in a Christian home? Did you ever go to church? Do you even know what the gospel is? Do you understand that? Look, when Jesus is here, and the Lord had me do this, there are, I think, 37 miracles that are listed in the Gospels when Jesus is doing his ministry. You think when he walks on water, he's sweating it? Or when he opens the eyes of a blind man or raises Lazarus from the dead, he's not sweating it. Or he casts out the demon just with a word like that. Or he heals the lepers, the 10 lepers in the distance without even touching them. Raises up the sick man, changes water into wine. Are you kidding me? He is the creator of all things. You can believe that, or you can say, well, that's the Gospels and who cares? It's a bunch of crazy men writing this stuff up. Oh, really? They all went to their horrible deaths except for John. And then they boiled him in oil and he didn't die. So they banished him out to Patmos. Get this guy out of here, right? And here we are. Folks, I'm not making this stuff up. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. He was with God in the beginning. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. You can't state it any clearer than that. So you've got a contradiction. You've got Jesus, who was the way, the truth, and the life. In the beginning was the Word, and you got Darwinian theory, panspermia. We were created here by a race of extraterrestrials. Let's continue. I am a retired operating system programmer and network specialist. I have degrees in mathematics and chemistry. I am an emeritus member of the American Chemical Society. The implication of contact are profound. He's absolutely right. So this is the January edition of Nat Geo. Are we alone? Everything is pointing to full disclosure at some point. It really is. And it's profound implications. This changes everything. How do you get to a one world government, a one world religious system? Well, this is the way you do it. This is exactly the way you do it. It's going to change everything. If there's an announcement from our president, followed by Pope Leo, followed by 2, 3, or 6, heads of state from different countries, yes, we are not alone. That's a game changer. Let's continue. We will never know what was really said. Our government doesn't think we can handle the truth. We can handle the truth and deserve the truth. And this is the deal. This is why Spielberg's movie coming out, full disclosure. This is why Age of Disclosure. And if you haven't seen that movie, you need to watch it. You need to, again, give the $20 to your pastor and go, Pastor, this movie is on Netflix and Prime Video. I think it's on Prime Video, but I'm not sure. But you can Google that and you can watch it. You need to watch this. Here's the $20 for it, because it's a game changer. Because men and women from Congress, our elected officials, physicists, scientists, these are really smart guys, a 1-star admiral, and others come on the record. Luis Elizondo, Lou, if you're watching this, come on the show. I'd love to talk to you. But the bottom line is they're all saying we are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone. And we know that. Derek Gilbert, in one of our films, I forget which, I think it's What is the Truth? 9 and 10, we're going to be showing that one at the up-and-coming conference, January 16th and 17th, deception2026.com, deception2026.com. Get your tickets now. See the way I just kind of slid that in? Great segue, LA. Way to go. Thank you. I really appreciate it. But the bottom line is, we're not alone. We've been visited for thousands of years by these so-called extraterrestrials. They are interdimensional beings. They are mixing the seed, just like Genesis 3:15 says, just like Daniel 2:43. Their seed will mingle with the seed, but they will not cleave to them. It's happening. Right now. It's happening. But you don't hear too much about that. Full disclosure. Hopefully they care in coming to help us heal and live for the love of humanity. No, when they show up, everything will change. Life as we know it will completely change. It will usher in the global one world government and the global world religious system. They will say, we created all life on this earth. We genetically manipulated early man. We started the world's religions. We started the world's civilizations. Now at this critical juncture in human history, we are back to usher mankind into a golden age. And this is where it's going. I am grateful for all the scientists. No, let's continue. Aliens observing stupidity on a level beyond their comprehension. And I get that. I totally get that. But, you're saying aliens, I'm saying fallen angels. I'm grateful for all the scientists and the content to be alive when ET makes contact. We need to stop being so cruel to one another. God bless every species here and out there. So once again, the idea of panspermia, and you can see everybody right down the line. Now, I'm cherry picking. I mean, I'm actually not cherry picking. I'm reading the comments just straight on. And no one is standing up going, wait a minute, folks, how do we know these are, friendly guys from some faraway planet? Al Matthews in our film, and I'll be showing the film on abductions. So you got Karen Wilkinson, Emil Jurek, you got Al Matthews, and you got Angela Beckman, all on the record stating that these are not friendly ETs. They are not our space brothers. They have a very nefarious agenda. If 3i Atlas is friendly, then we are in for the ride of our life. That's what I feel. If it's not, then we are screwed. Well, at least this person is looking at the other side, the possibility. What are we looking at? Thank you from, and I'm not going to say where. Mid-year, I first heard about this. It seems something monumental was at our doorstep. I'm glad for that. Again, I am not a scientist, but an artist capable of discerning the exact hold on. Again, I am not a scientist, but an artist, and capable of discerning the exactitude of the details sent in those opening messages as the basic constituents of our physical makeup, seen through heightened awareness, sacred geometry. So please, at the way our race is moving into, English is not his first language. Our only hope is that we speed things up, letting go of the centuries of hatred with forgiveness and compassion. And I agree with you. This place is a nutty place. It's only getting crazier. But that's exactly what the Bible tells us. And it also says men's hearts will wax cold. Let's continue. Add some truly spiritual people to this team who can fathom the physics and the math, and you have the ambassadors who will greet and cherish our space cousins best. Okay, I'm going to do 2 more, and then that's it. It knows how to use every field that comes across, anywhere it goes, 3i Atlas. Just imagine energy is everywhere that they tap into. It showed Earth how easily it could be obliterated. That was one of the messages. Let me see if I can just find one more. Okay, and this is exactly my point, and I'll end with this one. Wow. As far as I'm concerned, 3i Atlas is here at this time because there are powers here who have an evil intent, and they want to cause a world war, and they want to destroy most of the human race. This is true. This is the true reason why 3i Atlas is here, to protect us all, and then this person lists a bunch of names, which I won't do. And they basically continue in saying that these, and they mentioned, for instance, Russia and the Ukrainian war. Are you aware that 1 million people, 1 million Russians have died in that war? And for what? You tell me, for what? Folks, it's happening. I could continue. There are, how many comments here? There are 769 comments. The views on this is now up to 112,000. So this is where we are at. It is happening. And most people are on the other side of the aisle. Most people have embraced the so-called extraterrestrial hypothesis. I don't, and you guys know that. And that all leads me to say this. Rungs of disclosure, there are now 24 rungs on the ladder of disclosure. The book only has 17. Go to rungsofdisclosure.com. It's an interactive website. You can look at videos, all the rungs from 18 up to 25, because it's happening. Then you can also go to deception2026.com. Deception2026.com. Gary Stearman, Mado Gonzalez, Derek Gilbert, former abductee Karen Wilkinson, authors Alan DiDio, Vicky Joy Emerson, former abductee Al Matthews, Tim Alberino, Josh Peck, Larry Radlin, and yours truly. We will all be speaking virtually. It's a pre-recorded conference. Starts on Friday night, January 16th, around 5 p.m. Probably we'll go to 9 or 10 o'clock that night. We will be showing the Roswell film, also the abduction film from our UFO series right there. And then Saturday we'll start up again at 9 and we'll go to the end where there'll be a live Q&A with yours truly. Folks, it's happening. Please consider signing up. It's only $19.99. And we have group rates for people. Get your church involved. Get your home group involved. It's that important. It's coming down, and it's coming down now. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow. Once again, www.deception2026.com. Deception2026.com. Folks, L.A. Marzulli here. What happens if our President Donald J. Trump makes an announcement from the White House? He looks right at the camera and he says, "We are not alone in the universe." How does that affect you? How does that affect your faith? How does that affect what you believe in? Folks, we have the answers that will shed light on this controversial subject. The Great UFO Deception Conference, Unmasking the Strong Delusion, January 16th and 17th. You'll hear from renowned experts like Gary Stearman, Mando Gonzalez, Derek Gilbert, former abductee and author Karen Wilkinson, authors Alan DiDio, Vicky Joy Emerson, former abductee Al Matthews, Jim Alberino, Josh Peck, Larry Ragger, and of course, L.A. Marzulli. Arm yourself with the truth from a biblical perspective. Go to www.deception2026.com. That's www.deception2026.com. I'll see you there.